Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 19 of Cady's Corner. I am your host, Brian Cady, presented by Godzilla Media and sponsored by our good friends at Johnstone Supply, as well as Mohawk Honda. Mohawk Honda, they are the team to find not only what you're looking for by searching their own lot, but they'll search the entire capital region. They'll search all of upstate New York. Hell, they will search up and down the entire eastern seaboard just to make sure they get the customer what they want. But the real opportunity for you as John Q customer or Jane Q customer isn't even by buying a vehicle. The real opportunity is by trading in or selling your vehicle. That's right. Mohawk Honda is buying cars, and in some cases, you might be able to sell it for more than you paid for it when you originally got the vehicle. Because right now, the supply chain is still facing challenges when they got hampered by the COVID pandemic. They're still reeling from it, trying to bounce back. And now they are in a place which is creating a selling opportunity for you still after all this time. And as always, they'll make that buying and or selling experience very easy for you at Mohawk Honda, whether it's with Cars with Kern Svoboda, our boy Trav Landry, Luis the VIP Man Morales, my good friend C-Mac, Cam McKenna, or just go right to the horse's mouth. Hear it right from him, the GM himself, the main man with the tower of power that's too sweet to be sour, Greg Johnson. Talk to him and get yourself the hookup that you are looking for to fit your lifestyle and your budget so that you don't have any ridiculous payments down the road. You are taking care of business for yourself, number one. Watch out for number one. That's you, baby. That's right, because at Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, they want to buy your car and maybe even turn around and sell you a new or certified pre-owned used vehicle that fits you and your family because they always go out of their way to please you. That all being said, you can follow me on Twitter at Brian Cady, BrianCady. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always shoot me an email, brian.cady at godzillamedia.com. That's GOZILLA media.com. Of course, we're talking baseball. We're getting through the dog days of August, baby. Yeah, we are more than halfway through. And man, it's a wild one right now. It is a certifiable wild one out there in Major League Baseball. Right now, let's just take a look at the overview of things with the divisional standings as well as the wild card standings, and then we will take a gander at our three regional teams of interest. So let's just take a look real quick first at the way things are looking in the standings. So beginning with the American League, we have ourselves Yankees still on top at 73 and 45. Ahead of the Rays and Blue Jays by 10. They're both at 62 and 54. Baltimore's 11 and a half back. Red Sox are 14 back. In the Central, the division that nobody seems to want to claim, but somebody needs to. I mean, it's you got Cleveland in the lead right now, 63 and 55. Minnesota's one back. White Sox are two back. And then the Royals and Tigers just they're not even in the equation. Then we look at the AL West. Astros are pretty much running away with it right now. They are 76 and 43, two and a half clear of the Yankees for the best record in the American League, 11 clear of the Mariners for the West lead. And then Rangers, Angels, Athletics, we don't even have to factor them into the equation because really the only team relevant aside from Houston is Seattle in that division. As far as the wild card is concerned, the American League, Mariners hold the one spot. Rays and Blue Jays are tied for the second and third spots respectively. Because remember, there's three wild card spots this year, six teams per league instead of five. The Twins are a game back of the Rays and Blue Jays. Orioles a game and a half. White Sox 2, Red Sox 4. and then everyone else is under 500 in the American League and pretty much dreaming of a white Christmas at this point. Now take a look at the National League. Mets maintaining a separation of 4.5 between them and the Braves, as the Mets hold the second best record in the National League, 76-42. Phillies are in third, 10.5 back. Although if you had asked me when they were struggling like they were with Joe Girardi in May, if the Phillies would even be above 500 at this point, I would have called you crazy in late August. But here they are, 13 games over 500 and just 10.5 back of the Mets for the division, and then Miami and Washington rounding out the East. In the Central, it's basically a two-team race. Cardinals 65 and 51, Brewers are 3 back, and then the Cubs, Reds, and Pirates are insignificant. Then in the West, the Dodgers running away with it, 81 and 35, just an absurd record for that team. Padres are 17 games back, but 12 games over 500. Doesn't that just sound ridiculous? Well, that's because it is ridiculous. And then you have the Giants at 59 and 58, Diamondbacks 54 and 63, Rockies 51 and 68. As for the wild card in the National League, this is how things stack up right now with the wild card. Braves sitting in the one spot, 6.5 clear six clear of Philadelphia between the one spot and the two spot. The Phillies are in the two spot by half a game ahead of the Padres. And then behind San Diego is the Brewers by 2 games, the Giants by 5.5. And then everyone else is under 500 and double digits behind the Padres at this point. So really looking at five, maybe six. I won't even throw the Diamondbacks in there. Looking at 5 teams competing for 3 spots in the National League wild card. In the American League, I mean, you would assume Baltimore loses steam at some point, and one of these AL Central teams loses steam at some point. But right now, logically, there are 7 teams fighting for 3 wild card spots in the American League because they're all within 5.5 games of each other. Seattle, Tampa, Toronto are the 3 teams right now, and then within 4 games of Tampa and Toronto are Minnesota, Baltimore, Chicago, and Boston, which perfectly transitions us into the one non-New York team we have to mention, and that's the Boston Red Sox. Listen, their winners are 5 of their last 6. So whether you like it, I remember saying last week that this is a team that was basically looking at a standing 8 count, and this was the 1 week stretch that was going to help determine whether or not they are really going to put themselves into contention again. And Kike Hernandez back. Trevor Story still waiting for him. Um, and they're making things work, man. Like I I can't even really explain it what they're doing right now. It's they're right now. It helps that they face the Yankees during the lowest point of their season this past weekend, and it helps they found up by following up with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So it's you know, it's but you're beating the teams that are put in front of you. So there's not much. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're taking care of the business they had to take care of, and now they have to take things week by week at this point. They can't look too far ahead of themselves because when you start looking too far ahead of yourself, that is when things can get a little fuzzy for you. And that's when you can possibly catch yourself slipping and therefore not competing at the level you're supposed to be in order to get to where you want to be. And that's playing in October in playoff baseball. So right now, they have another game tonight at Pittsburgh to wrap up that 3 game set. Then the Sox go to Baltimore for a 3 game weekend set. They have Monday off, then come home to Fenway for what will end up being a 6 game homestand, 3 against Toronto, followed right away by 3 against Tampa. So really, and you'll even look beyond that to the series at Minnesota Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following week to wrap up the month of August. Starting tomorrow on Friday, you're looking at a 12 game stretch against current playoff teams. Between, excuse me, between you're facing the two bottom 3 of the 3 wildcard teams the team that's a game behind them and the team that's like, what did I say, like a half game ahead of them, I believe. I mean, this is knuckle up time for them. They have to keep on grinding and keep on standing out. They're 2.5 back of Baltimore, excuse me. But they're going to be facing literally the second through fifth place teams in the wild card race right now in Tampa, Toronto, Minnesota, Baltimore, not in that particular order. They got to handle their business. They cannot afford to get through those 12 games with any record less than 9-3, in my opinion. It's 9-3 or better if they want to go out and prove themselves worthy of being in this race. Now, I'm not even talking about the AL East anymore. I'm just specifically focusing on the wild card for this Red Sox team right now. Now, if the Yankees keep playing as poorly as they are, and that somehow turns into a 2-month long slump for the Yankees, then maybe we can start discussing the Red Sox again come Labor Day. But as far as the division is concerned, the division in my mind is the Yankees, possibly Toronto or Tampa if the Yankees can fall enough the next few weeks. But that's really as far as I'm able to really think about it at this point. And even then, I think we're still giving the rest of the division too much credit, and the Yankees not enough credit for being able to potentially bounce back, which we'll get to in a few moments. So for me at this point, if I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm focusing strictly on the wild card. I'm focusing strictly on the schedule in front of me. And right now, you're looking at, aside from this game tonight at Pittsburgh, you're looking at 12 straight games against four of the five teams directly ahead of you in the wild card race. And then after Minnesota, you get a 4-game reprieve at home against Texas Labor Day weekend before turning around and going to Tampa and Baltimore for 3-3. And then that puts you in the middle of September, which puts you with, let's see here, because the season's running all the way to the middle of the first week of October, the first full week of October. So after that Baltimore series, which ends on Sunday, the 11th of September, that puts you at 2, 5, 8, 11, 15, 18. That's 21 games left. Okay. But again, this is a week by week scenario for the Red Sox. For me, if they can get to Labor Day weekend, if they can get to the start of that 4-game set, Labor Day weekend with Texas, and be in the realm of those 3 wild card spots, not 4 games behind like they are now, in the realm of the 3 spots, I would feel good as a Red Sox fan. Even though you have 6 games in September lined up with the Yankees, and essentially your whole month of September is against the AL East, except for that 4-game set on Labor Day weekend against Texas, and then you have 3 at home against the Royals, 2 in Cincinnati. So you're not when you're not facing the AL East in September, you're not exactly facing a whole lot of contenders. You're facing teams that are more or less packing it up and getting ready to go golf in October. All right, so the Red Sox are in a good place, but it's just a matter of showing they can compete against these teams by taking them on these next 2 weeks. Get through these 12 games starting on Friday, and then we'll have a better idea of where Boston stands at that point. Now, before we get into this New York baseball slate with the Mets and Yankees for the show, just want to tell you about our friends over at Johnstone Supply in Troy. Summer is winding down. Yes, I know it's the middle of August. Temperatures have been a little cooler here and there, but we have still been getting some random spikes of heat back up towards 90 degrees at points throughout the month of August. And trust me, we're going to get them even as we get into high school and college football season in a few weeks. So that means you're going to want to make sure that you are staying cool indoors. And hey, if you're having problems with that, make sure you go call our friends at Johnstone Supply in Troy. Ask the team about their high efficiency central AC systems and ductless mini splits. Goodman, Fujitsu, Westinghouse, all in stock, all great prices. And hey, if you need someone to install the new system as well, don't worry. One stop shop over at Johnstone Supply in Troy. They can take care of that too. Our boy George from Johnstone Supply. You might have heard about his story on a previous episode of Getting There with Goz with my boy Tom Goz, who runs Godzilla Media. Had a chance to learn his story, the story behind Johnstone Supply. Now you can stop in and find out the great service that comes out of the back end of that story from George. Talk to Kev, James, Bird, whoever you need to talk to. They'll take care of you over at Johnstone Supply in Troy, put you in a cooler place for the remainder of the summer. And while you're at it, hell, with fall not too far away, I mean, geez, I commented recently on my Twitter about how Halloween candy is out already, 2 months ahead of time. They're talking about there's Halloween costumes coming out. I think Thanksgiving decorations have come out too. So it gets to think about that cooler weather. While you're getting that AC fixed, might as well have them take a look at your heating system as well and make sure that's up to par for when the temperatures do start dipping back down and we head towards the late fall and the winter. Because, hey, no better time than the present to get all that stuff done. Call Johnstone Supply in Troy, 518-272-5922, or go to their hard location right at 2600 6th Avenue in Troy. Get a new AC system today. And while you're at it, get your heating system checked before it's too late for the fall and winter months. Get it checked now. 518-272-5922, johnstonesupply.com, or 2600 6th Avenue is the location in Troy. As far as New York Mets, the Braves, the city of Atlanta has been brutal to the Mets, but not so much the Braves. Like, yeah, they lost the first two games to the Braves before having to scratch and claw their way to a win last night, 9-7, um, in which they had Kenley Jansen warm up just in case it went to the 10th inning, but the Mets were able to shut the door eventually and get that W. Scherzer getting the win. Odorizzi got knocked around early in that game, and he got taken out after I think it was 5 innings. Yeah, five. Scherzer was able to go. He was able to get through six in the third. Unfortunately, Ottavino gave up a two-run homer. So two of the four runs that excuse me, one of the four runs that went against Scherzer's line, not really his fault completely, but six in the third, four runs on three hits, three walks, eight Ks. And then Diaz pitched the eighth. Trevor May pitched in the ninth, which was drama filled. They were up by four and then only up by two, and there were runners on base. And yikes, just yikes. But yeah, so that was the story with that. But I mean, it's just, you know, this is one of those series where every time the Mets and Braves meet, they're gonna be on a grind. It's gonna be a heated matchup, and you just gotta face the facts that the Braves aren't. They're in the race too. They're not gonna just roll over and accept the wild card just because the Mets have had a tremendous first 4 months of the season. They're gonna go out there and they're gonna put their brass ones on the table and say, "We're coming to get you. We're coming for you." Mets, like I mentioned earlier, 4.5 out. Tomas Nido is on the COVID IL, but that's not even the tip of the iceberg with what Atlanta has done to this squad, or what this past week has done to the squad. Over the weekend during the series at home, Luis Guillorme, moderate left groin strain, typically a 4 to 6 week timetable for return, which would put him around the very last week or two of the season, maybe even hold him off and not rush him back. They might wait till the postseason to bring him back. Then you have Carlos Carrasco go out early in his start on Monday with a low grade oblique strain. They're looking at 3 to 4 weeks with that, which again puts you like mid September. And then you got Taiwan Walker, who was pulled after 2 innings on Tuesday night from his start because of back spasms. The one good thing, though, is that they did get an encouraging update after the fact. Walker did have some tests done. He had an MRI done earlier, uh, Wednesday, excuse me. No structural damage was shown in the MRI. Good news, all things considered, was the quote by Showalter. As far as how long he's out, a damn, yeah, who knows? Well, no, he's going to be probably missing his start on Sunday against Philadelphia that he would usually had. Um, I don't see him being out more than one, maybe two starts, depending on how long, depending how bad the spasms are really affecting him. On the good side, Brett Batty called up to the majors And his first game, his first start, he hits a two-run homer for the Metropolitans in their win against the Braves last night. Fantastic to see the kid come up and produce right away and make an immediate impact on the squad. I mean, this is a team that just they've been snake bitten with different stuff at random times, and now you're looking at a rotation that has obviously Scherzer, DeGrom, and Bassett. And then, assuming Taiwan Walker misses his start this weekend. So, what does this mean? You have Trevor Williams get a spot start. I mean, who do you put out there? I mean, maybe a Colin David Peterson to get a spot start. I don't know. This is a tough one. Like, I don't know who you'd really throw in there at this point. Um, there's really nobody else right now because McGill's on the IL, Carrasco's on the IL, Taiwan Walker's at least missing one start, I would believe. So it's got to be Trevor Williams and David Pearson getting spot starts. Um, and then you just hope Taiwan Walker doesn't miss more than one start, so then you can kind of rotate between Williams and Peterson getting the spot starts until Carrasco gets back. But the Mets are in the driver's seat right now. They are in the driver's seat. They're the ones in charge. Yes, I knew they lost the first two games to Atlanta in this series, but they came back and took care of business in game three. Now it's a matter of getting through game four tonight and getting the hell out of Dodge. And all things considered, they're still 11-5 and 12-5 in August so far. And after this series, they go to Philly for four, which includes a doubleheader on Saturday. Then they play two at Yankee Stadium Monday, Tuesday, get Wednesday off before welcoming the Rockies for a four-game set. So there is some light because their schedule in September is supremely favorable. Once you get past the Dodgers series in about 2 weeks, they get the Nationals at home for three on Labor Day weekend. And then listen to these teams they play the rest of the way after Labor Day weekend: Pirates, Marlins, Cubs, Pirates, Brewers, Athletics, Marlins, Braves, Nationals. So that whole month of September, you're only playing against potentially two bona fide playoff teams. In Atlanta, the final weekend of the season, not the final series of the season, but the final weekend, and Oakland, you go to Oakland for Friday the 23rd through Sunday the 25th. That's a pretty most if you ask me. Point one, maybe two potentially playoff teams in your schedule, and the rest are all crumb bums at the bottom of their divisions right now. I'll take it. I would gladly take a schedule with two series against the Pirates, a series against the Cubs, and a series against the Athletics. Sign me up if I was a Mets fan. I'd be all over that like a fat kid on cake. I'd be all over that. So to me, it just gotta take the bad with the bad with the good and just kind of suck it up, lick your wounds, and just hope Taiwan Walker doesn't miss more than one start, and just pray to God nothing happens to Max Scherzer or Jacob DeGrom the rest of the way. That's essentially where you're at if you're a Mets fan. Um, and that's not meant to be facetious. It's not meant to be mean. It's just honest. If you're a Mets fan, you're just at this point you're hoping you get back the bodies you're expecting to get back at 100% before the postseason, and nobody else goes down for any great length of time before then, and then you can go into the postseason full strength. That's where you're at if you're a Mets fan, and that's not too much to ask for. It's not. So let's roll with it. Meanwhile, we finally get to the New York Yankees, and this is the way I look at it. Okay, now I know that fellow Yankee fans are probably going to hear this and call me crazy. considering this team has lost 11 of their last 13. And yes, that's including their wacky as hell walk-off win in the 10th inning last night over Tampa. So I know I'm going to catch flack for saying this, but I don't give a damn at this point because I'm, like I've mentioned before on this program earlier in the season, I am the kind of brutally honest Yankees fan that Yankees fans hate. I'm at a point where I look at what this squad is going through and what they've been going through since the All Star break, particularly the last 2 weeks. And I look at the almost sense of relief you could sense when Donaldson hit that walk-off grand slam last night. To me, you are never going to be a true contender if you don't have to have a grind at some point during the season. This is not a slant towards Houston, although I would argue Houston's, aside from maybe the first month and a half this season, Houston's never had any real struggle to deal with since then. This is mid August, and the Yankees are going through this struggle. They're going through the dog days of summer, as I coined them about a half hour ago when I first started this episode. They are going through the hard times to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. I honestly see this as a blessing in disguise because it's the same theory I stand by for any team in any sport that's been coasting through the regular season and is approaching in due time the playoffs. I am always a proponent of getting your bad efforts out of the way, your bad production out of the way. Get your bad games out of your system. That way you can bring yourself to some pause and reflection, some introspection, figure out what needs to change, what needs to be fixed, make those corrections and adjustments, and then finish the season the right way, strong and dominant going into the postseason. That's what I like to see happen. Is that you go through the first 2/3 of the season providing your cushion. You have a little bit of struggle somewhere in the midst of that final third of the year, which is basically what the Yankees are doing right now, aside from last night's walk-off win against Tampa. That's what they've done, losing 11 out of 13. Now they're at a point where, as they slowly get pieces back, Stan should be back anytime now. The pieces are going to fall back into place. Let's just put it that way. Stan is due to return anytime now. Yes, you don't have Carpenter, but you still have Rizzo. You still have Judge. People lose their mind on Hicks. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with it because you don't have Carpenter. Live with it. But you have Benintendi, who I think is going to slowly get out of this little funk he's had since joining the Yankees at the trade deadline. You still have DJ LeMahieu. They're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out. Okay? It's only a matter of time. And you look at the numbers behind everything right now for the season. You can't sit there and tell me you wouldn't be willing to go to battle in the postseason right now with a rotation of Cole, Montas, Cortez, Tyone. You can't sit there and tell me that. You can't. You've made your bed. Now you gotta sleep in it. If you're a Yankees fan like I am, and to me, that's a damn good rotation. All right, because right now the true wild card for this Astros team that they're eventually hoping to face in the ALCS, the wild card is that rotation. Because once you get past Verlander, yeah, there's some good arms, but they're all still unproven wild cards when it comes to the postseason. Like Just look at them, and I'll pull them up real quick just to make y'all feel better about things when you because I know a lot of my fellow Yankee fans are already thinking ahead. Even though they're frustrated by what they're doing right now, they're thinking ahead about the postseason, Houston, and blah 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 blah. All right, think about this though. Once you get past Justin Verlander, what kind of playoff reputation do any of the other starters on that squad have right now? Valdez, Urquidy, Garcia, and Javier. It's not like they're stacked and loaded with Keuchel and they just got McCullers back. It's not like they're sitting there stacked with Keuchel and Greinke and Verlander anymore. It's not like that anymore. And obviously they don't have Garrett Cole anymore. It's basically Verlander and a bunch of mid 20 somethings who don't understand the pressures of playoff baseball yet. And that could lead to some fragile mentalities if they make any mistakes. So if I'm the Yankees, having a guy like Garrett Cole who's been there, Tyone who was on this team last year and witnessed what they went through, Nestor who was around last year and witnessed what they went through. Montas will be fine, especially in a matchup against any of the guys not named Verlander. Sign me up. I'll take Frankie. This is a team where if they're going to struggle, I'd rather them do it now, get it out of the way, than wait until the middle of next month when the playoffs are right around the corner. That's where I'm at. That's where I stand. So if you're a Yankees fan, I say this is what they needed. And they needed to get it out of their system now before anything else happens. Real quick before we wrap up, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the Fernando Tatis situation. 80 games. And here's the innate problem that's going on right now. First of all, there's not a PED problem in baseball anymore. There is an arrogance problem within the small percentage that are still getting popped for PEDs in baseball. Because Fernando Tatis, he could care less what Mike Clevenger thinks. He couldn't care less what any of his teammates thinks, or the GM, or the owner. He couldn't care less. He already got paid. And therein lies part of the problem with the MLB system. It's that the Players Association has gone to bat so much so to the point where there's no leverage for MLB to get the money from these guaranteed contracts back. Unless you really feel like going to court and arbitration, all this crap, there's this weird entitlement, it feels like. And it's very odd. At no point can I remember any kind of pro athlete, unless you're named like Kyrie Irving in the NBA, but we're not going to get into that. I can't think of a point in time where athletes have felt more secure about being popped for PEDs than right now. Because the witch hunt was crazy going through the 2000s and the 2010s. But now in 2022, when PEDs are pretty much a non-subject at this point because there's so few pops for it, but when it's somebody that's getting so much guaranteed money, does it really matter to them? It's an odd situation. And I was never a big fan of Fernando Tatis. The junior's proven to be a big bust. In my opinion, at least. It came out hot as hell, and then the last few years he's just been injured and non-existent to the organization. To the point where if I'm the Padres, Yeah, I know you just went out and got Juan Soto and all this stuff. If there's a market for Fernando Tatis Jr. and any team that's willing to potentially take on that contract, I might start thinking. And I'm not talking about next trade deadline. I'm talking about this winter. Start thinking. Just some food for thought if you're any kind of National League fan who pays attention to the who's been paying attention to the Tatis situation with the Padres. So that's just my little food for thought. That's my 2 cents. But anyways, that'll wrap things up here with Katie's Corner, episode 19, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by our friends over at Mohawk Honda in Scotia Glenville, as well as Johnstone Supply in Troy. Don't forget, if you're watching the YouTube, it's been scrolling by the screen the whole time. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Play, the Twitter handle is at Brian Cady, BrianCady, all one word. The email address, any comments, questions, concerns, brian.cady at GodzillaMedia.com. That's GOZILLA media.com. Enjoy your week of baseball. Enjoy another week of what little bit is left of the official summer. Got like roughly a month left of it. The baseball goes beyond the summer, maybe goes into the early days of fall. We'll keep you covered. We'll keep you updated on the playoff standings. We'll look a little bit deeper into that next week, and obviously we'll hope that some of these injuries are getting some good news for the Mets and Yankees and even Red Sox going forward. So with that, enjoy your baseball, and we'll catch you for episode 20 next time